David Sammartino, he was working for actually quite a few years before he got to the WWF. Your advice, obviously it's going to be retrospective and it's too late and everything, but what would you have done with David Sammartino rather than bring him into the WWF and then just compare him to Bruno and have Bruno come out with him? Because that just wasn't going to be the best thing for him long term.
What would I have done if I was the promoter?
Yes, yeah.
Well, number one, David Sammartino was a great worker, great knowledge of holds, counter holds, and man, he was strong. And the very first match, he's mentioned this in these other wrestling news magazines, is that um, I he went over on me so many times on TV, which wasn't true. Our first match was actually in Poughkeepsie, New York, when they first brought him in for the first TV, and I was the first guy that worked with him. So all we did was there was no chopping meat, anything like that. We were just exchanging hold for hold. I'd get a hold on any counter, boom, 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 and I got a little pissed off. I picked him up and I gave him a real hard slam to the mat. And then he turns around, gives me another slam, and then he picks me up, presses me over his head, and pins me. Um, David was a great talent. He should have gone a lot further, and I probably would have used him a lot. I can understand him being a hothead, pissed off about things, but something when you're working for the number one company in the world and you're making a great paycheck, why would you want to ruin it?
With David, then I'm trying to think. Would you have like maybe even changed his name? Just get away from San Martino. It means too much in the territory.
No, no, I wouldn't have done that.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's been a lot of successful, the sons that follow the father name. We can mention a whole bunch right here. I just think, uh, you know, could they have used him and his father as world tag team champions? I didn't know how much if Bruno really wanted to work that much at the time, because when they came out, Madison Square Garden, they got the biggest cheers, and the only problem is I just don't know, because if they used them as the tag team champions, and then David would have really gotten over pretty much and Bruno bowed out. Hey, there was an opening right there for Bruno to become a world champion, maybe.
hmm well, I don't think Bruno would have wanted to be world champion. As far as I know, the only reason Bruno came back to the ring was to support David, and when Bruno was on the card, then David would do better on the card, and when Bruno wasn't, then David was shunted back to the bottom. So, I mean, that's probably why he was quite unhappy at the time. Which leads us to the Phantom submission match. Take us through the entire story. Where was it originally? The
That was
arena.
in my hometown, Philadelphia Spectrum, which is a great thing that it was in my hometown.
Hmm.
Uh, all I can remember is that, and as I said, I've told this on other shows, is that uh, I saw who I was working with that night, uh, and Hogan was already finished wrestling. I think he was wrestling the Sheik that night, but he came back to me. Hulk Hogan did, and he was telling me, "Hey, look, something's going to go down tonight with David. Okay, I'm not sure what it is." Then Bobby the Brain Heenan comes back, and he's pretty much giving me the same type of, words and so forth. And I started thinking to myself, oh, what's going to go on here? Is he going to make an example of me in the ring? Is this going to be a shoot? Because I've been in a couple shoots before in my life. Okay, I didn't know what was going to happen. So we go into the ring, and I've never given my full complete story. We've heard about it from David. David did an interview about it, and he pretty much laid it out. But in David's interview, he did say, "Hey, he hurt my back. He was the better man that night," and so forth. But I went out there, and I'm sure you've seen that match a few times. Is that I laid two smashes with my fist right behind his neck, and then six or seven body slams later, my hand was raised, and it's as far as I've gone with that whole story. I mean, I've never said completely was it this, or was it that? Because I've been in shoots before, and I can give you an example. Back in 1983, there was this when we were doing international wrestling, a kid back in Pittsburgh who was maybe had an inch on me, and I'm 6'3", so I was 260 pounds at the time. And this kid, he was an ex-football player, great shape, and he's coming in the ring and he's not selling for me. Okay. And I said, man, I said, you need to do something here, pal. I said, I'm not going to look like an asshole. And he just kept on doing it. And I got him in a reverse armbar, and I just took him right down to the mat. And I either hyperextended his elbow or broke something. And he learned real fast. But that match had to end really quick. And matter of fact, somebody to this day made a comment on it on the internet, and I've got that on my website. Hey, Ron Shaw, when they're pissed off, you just don't take it lightly. And I've been in other shoots with the Samoans and a couple other guys and so forth. And I said, wow. I said, I was almost in a riot in the Philippines where people started turning on us and everything, and we had to fight ourselves to get the hell out of there. But that's as much as I've said about that match. But I've given David credit over the years. He was a great worker, and the guy was strong.
With just before we go off that, what was David upset with particularly that night? Did you ever find out?
I don't know. I didn't see him until he got in the ring, and all I know is that when he left, he didn't shower. I heard that his ribs were hurting, and he drove back to Atlanta that night.
Was that the last match he had in the WWF?
Yeah, that was. I know they brought him back again for a few shows, and then he left again. I don't know.
Well, I know you said you'd never said it before on any interview, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So, what was the full deal with it, or are you just going to keep quiet and?
Well, it's like I said, I'm leaving it out there because still today, this is still talked about. This match. It's still fresh. You watch these videos and find them somewhere else on the internet, and I can see comments from 3-4 months ago and so forth. And I got all those comments that are on my website and so forth. So people are still talking about this match today. And as I say, I'm leaving it out there. I think there's a little bit of mystery behind it, and I'm going to leave it like that.
Well, do you know what? There's nothing wrong with a bit of mystery, especially in 2021 where everybody's friends with everybody and they're all on Twitter, the people they're feuding with, and it's right. Just not quite the same.